und wir auf einem Spaziergang hat Martha Wilson zu mir gesagt, ja, da tourt seit 2006 eine Ausstellung in Nordamerika und die ist momentan gerade in einer Box in meiner Galerie in BBOW. Und ich höre Box und denke mir, naja, also diese Box sollten wir vielleicht nach Wien bringen. Und habe die Christiane Kreis in Venedig getroffen und gesagt, da ist eine Box in New York, hast du Lust, sie hierher zu bringen? Und sie hat zugesagt und ich möchte mich ganz herzlich dafür auch bedanken. Dieses Gespräch ist deswegen auch super spannend, weil es geht in dieser Ausstellung, habe ich versucht zu zeigen, dass Martha Wilson, die Künstlerin, und Martha Wilson, die Gründerin und Organisatorin des legendären Performance Space in New York, Franklin Furnace, die auch eine große Künstlerbuchsammlung haben und als erstes eigentlich Anfang der 70er Jahre auch das Künstlerbuch als solches auch als wichtiges hybrides Medium in der intermediären Kunst ausgewiesen hat. Und ich habe versucht, in dieser Ausstellung einen Impuls zu setzen, diese zwei Tätigkeitsbereiche sowohl mit künstlerischen Ausdrucksformen als auch in den Kollaborationen und in Franklin Furnace als eine künstlerische Praxis auch aufzuzeigen. Carola Dertnig wiederum kennt Sie ja alle, also Performance-Künstlerin, intermediäre Künstlerin und Professorin an der Akademie der Bildenden Künste, hat ebenfalls mit ihrer kuratorischen Arbeit wichtige Impulse in Wien gesetzt. Es hat also auch verschiedene Tätigkeitsfelder und ich muss da auch sagen, dass die Carola ihre Arbeit und im Speziellen die Ausstellung Let's Twist Again von 2002 ganz ein wichtiges, eine wichtige Ressource auch für meine Arbeit immer dargestellt hat und ich die Arbeit von Martha Wilson eigentlich auch über Carola Dertnig kennengelernt habe. Also das Stricken an Netzwerken, besonders auch im feministischen Bereich, das Kollaborieren und bedingungslose Solidarität, würde ich sagen, stehen für beide Künstlerinnen im Mittelpunkt ihres Werkes und ich freue mich jetzt sehr auf diesen Artist Talk. Danke.
Thank you, Felicitas. Thank you for the invitation, and hello, Martha.
Hello, Carola.
I feel really proud to have this talk with you today because somehow it sounds a little funny, but I don't know, 20 years ago, I think, or maybe it was even more, it was, I don't know, it was in the beginning of the 90s, I had this residency to go to New York, and I had a performance group with a friend of mine, Gertrud Presenhuber, and we came to New York, and everybody said to us, "Oh, you're a performance artist, you have to meet Martha, and you have to go to Franklin Furnace." And actually that's what I did, but I think it took me another 8 years to talk to you because, I was just Star Trek, and I thought it was such a cool space, and also that it was really a performance space. Franklin Furnace was kind of a performance space in New York, and it was, I thought, a very special in space of showing performances in a very early moment and for a very long time. So that's my entree to you. But maybe we start even earlier. And I thought maybe we start with how did you come, did you start to think of performance, to start to think of language? maybe also a little bit the beginning in Halifax. And I think first it was like sort of like it was the second move then that you started art, no? The first one was literature. Maybe we start there.
Okay.
So, yeah.
In college, I was an English literature major and an art minor. I don't know if you have these things in Europe, but you focus mostly on English literature and then you also do some art for your minor. And I wanted to be an artist, and I called my father on the phone and said, "Look, Dad, I've gotten into an art school. Will you let me go?" And he said, no, I'm paying for college. I'm not going to pay for another college. Forget it. And you'll never survive. If you're an artist, it's bad enough that you're studying English literature. You're not going to be able to make a living from that. So when you become an artist, there's no chance that you'll be able to live in the real world. Okay, so I put that dream away and graduated from college. And then this is 1969, and the United States was fighting the Vietnam War. My boyfriend didn't want to be drafted into the Army, and I got a fellowship from a Canadian university, so we took it as a sign that we should move to Canada. A lot of Americans today are thinking about moving to Canada. But we did. We moved to Halifax, Nova Scotia. Why Halifax, Nova Scotia? Because the coolest art school in North America was in Halifax, Nova Scotia. It was the Nova Scotia College of Art and Design. And I was in the English Literature department at Dalhousie University across the street. But the kids at the art college were just way cooler than the kids in the English department. So I was hanging out at the art college. And then, so I got an MA in English literature and then started working on a PhD. And then my proposal wasn't accepted by the English department. So I got steamed. And I went across the street and spoke to the president of the art college and said, "Do you have a job over here?" And he said, "Yeah, actually the English teacher is leaving. You can teach English to art students who don't want to read." So then I was faculty at the Nova Scotia College of Art and Design, and I could audit Vito Conchi's seminars, and I could use the video equipment, and I could go to David Askevold's project classes. And so I was educated by the program at the Nova Scotia College of Art and Design. This was the high moment of conceptual art. When I discovered art that could be made of language, I thought, well, that's pretty cool for me. So the performance, I think the way performance entered the picture is that I just didn't make a distinction between the forms that were in use by the conceptual artists. You could make a video, you could do a live event, or you could write something down, and it was, to me, it was all performative. Yeah.
And but then somehow also feminism and kind of like a political wave, no, came in.
Yes.
And Lucy Lippard.
Yes.
Too. I just think it might be interesting for you. I mean, I know it, but I thought it might be interesting for the audience to hear.
Well, this may come as a surprise to many of you, but the art school was hostile to women. Women, although half the students at least were women, the professor who was my mentor at the college, when I announced that I wanted to be an artist too, he said, "Women don't make it in the art world." And he said, "Well, you know, you're a good writer, why don't you be an art critic?" it just wasn't, it wasn't a welcoming environment. There was no term feminism. There was no consciousness raising group going on. There was no support from other women. Everybody was in competition with each other instead of being in support of each other. So then when my boyfriend dumped my ass, I thought, I'm fine. I'm going to move to New York, and if I don't make it as an artist, I can always be a secretary again. So I'll just try it and see how it goes. And when I got to New York, I discovered that the feminist community was completely welcoming and warm. Judy Stein took me under her wing and took me to 3 different consciousness-raising groups so I could decide which one I liked the best. Women were actively supporting each other. Lucy Lepard had come to Halifax and said, she looked at the work that I was doing and said, yes, you are an artist. And there are other women who are doing feminist practice all over North America and in Europe. Oh, this term feminism, I hadn't even heard the term feminism until that point. She put me in a show. The show had a catalog of note cards, 4x6 note cards. So I went through the note cards and found other women who were doing practice similar to mine. I wrote them letters, and we met in New York. And
Who was that?
Jackie Apple. Jackie Apple and I did a collaborative performance. Before I moved to New York in 1973, I visited her and then came back, and what we did was we invented a character who would exist between us. There's Jackie, here's Martha, and here's this new character. And then we took the new character out to lunch where we thought she would be comfortable. So we went to the Plaza Hotel, and then Jackie hired a limo. Her friend